Hey, so I'm going to do a slightly advanced master here using more plugins. So I'm going to do saturation and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to take off all of this processing here that I did with the stock plugins, and I'm going to redo it. I'll leave the multimeter on there, that's useful. So what I'm going to do here, first things first, I'm going to show you what I would do with my signal chain. So usually I have a plugin by Slate, the virtual mix rack, and I'm going to try and make the whole mix sound like it was tracked through a Neve desk. So I've got this module here, it's pretty cool. VCC mix bus, so I'm going to ignore that. It's my iLock's being funny, but actually it works fine. So it's going to go through a British N, which is the Neve console, which will just give it a little bit of that harmonic distortion we were talking about, a bit of saturation, which is nice. Anything else? Sometimes I use this plugin, Revival, just for a little bit of high end. Let's see what it does. Just brings out a bit of high, it's nice. A bit of low thickness.
Hello,
yeah.
My old friend.
Now, the Slate version has a Neve, just like the Logic one, which I like. Just a little bit of boost in this 12K. Nothing much, just a touch.
Hello,
right, that's made it a bit louder as well. So it has an internal trimmer plugin, which will just turn down our gain a bit. So remember, we want to make sure we're not making this louder, just shaping them. Alright. Right, now, the Slate also has a bus compressor, which I use, which is like the Logic SSL emulation. It's just the Slate one. I actually have a hardware one that I tend to use now, but I'll just use this one so you can see what I'm doing. So this is going to do the same thing I was doing with the Logic one. This is just better. So 4:1 ratio, slow attack, kind of fastest release.
My old friend. Sit behind my eyes.
It's about 2 dB. That's fine.
I'm
I can also tell it to ignore some of the lower frequencies, so that kick drum's triggering it a lot, so I'm going to tell it not to act on the sub-low frequencies. Remember as well, your compressor will work upon anything it sees, so the high-pass filter circuit's really useful. See? Now it's going to be more efficient on the higher frequencies.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my.
Oh yeah, sorry, something else I would do, I would put in my tape emulation before that as well. So I use this one, Slate again. I like Slate. They do a lot of cool stuff. Plus I bought these plugins, so I paid good money for them. So this emulates it going through a tape machine again from the slides I gave you guys the other day. Tape and valves bring in odd order harmonics and even order harmonics to the signal. It's just to our ears is pleasing. So on this, what I tend to do, if it's mastering, I run it at 15 inches per second, and I use this tape because it saturates a bit more. And we're using a half inch 2-track machine for mastering, and a 2-inch 16-track machine for the individual tracks if you wanted to put them on there. I'm not going to do this now, but in a normal mix I'd have tape on the drums and various different things, but we're just mastering now, so I'll just leave it like that. The more you push the input, the more it will saturate. That's probably about right. That's about right.
Hello.
So this will naturally compress a little bit as well. It will tame some of the high end. It just generally sounds really nice.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my eyes and tell me where I'm going wrong. Speak loud and whisper hard. Shine the light so I must find the will to carry on. Tell me why I don't deserve it.
Right, and then I'm going to use my limiter, which is, yeah, you guessed it again, it's Slate. So they have one called the FGX. Does the same as the Logic one. It's just got more functions and it's a bit better. But yeah, it's fine. So you can control things like dynamic perception and transients here, so you can give your mixers a bit more punch with it.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my eyes and tell me where I'm going wrong. Speak loud and whisper hard. Shine the light so I must find the will to carry on. Tell me why I don't deserve it. Tell me why it's all my fault.
So I've pushed it a bit further, but this limiter is a bit more transparent than the Logic one. Just sounds really nice. You could experiment with the stereo widening here if you wanted to. See what it does.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my eyes and tell me where I'm going wrong. Speak loud and whisper hard. Shine the light so I must find the will to carry on. Tell me why I don't deserve it. Tell me why it's all my fault.
That's quite nice. I actually quite like that. Maybe we'll leave it in. Yeah, I just think I want to clean up the low end a little bit on this. It's a little boomy. So what I might do, I've got another EQ, which is Slate related, but isn't actually. It's by Eosis. It's the guy that develops this plugins for Slate. But it's very precise and it's very nice. So let's have a look with the analyzer on this.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my eyes and tell me where I'm going wrong. Speak loud and whisper hard. Shine the light so I must find the will.
So what I'm trying to do here is remove problem frequencies. So usually there's a little bit too much low end here, and I think there's some usually build up in the low mid. So I'm gonna have a go at editing that.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my eyes and tell me where I'm going wrong.
Yeah, just that, real subtle. That's really cleaned it up. That's nice. It has a nice air circuit here, which is the high-end boost, but I've kind of done that here with the Neve, so I'm not sure if I need it. Try it. Oh, and I'm also going to low cut everything below 30, because we just don't need the super low here. Let's get rid of it.
Hello, my old friend. Sit behind my eyes and tell me where I'm going wrong. Speak loud and whisper hard. Shine the light so I must find the will to carry on. Tell me why I don't deserve it. Tell me why it's all my fault. Tell me all my crimes.
Cool. So I think that's sounding pretty cool. I'm going to test it on some other systems. I'm probably going to send it to Tim, see what he thinks. Usually artists have some notes and go change this, change that. Alright, so there's a couple of extra things I want to talk about on top of the last video. So first thing, I've been talking about using my own tape emulator plugins, but there's one actually built into Logic that you can use, but it's not super obvious. So I'll just show you how to use that, and then you can add tape saturation to your master bus, to separate buses as well, drum bus, guitars, whatever. So if you go to delay and go to tape delay, stereo, the tape delay plugin emulates Tape Machine, so you can use it. So what you're going to do, you're going to put the output up to 100% wet because you're saturating the output of the mix with the tape. Turn tempo sync off and delay time down, feedback down as well, and then you're just here with the character, which you can change. So you can use different tape head modes, you can push a bit of gain on it to make it sound a bit gritty. Just play around with it, but it is tape saturation. Flutter rate, that's the kind of modulation, pitch modulation you get from a tape machine speeding up and slowing down, which they did because they were analog. So you could play around with this.
Tell me why there'll be next time. Tell me it's not right, 'cause now I've seen the light. I don't.
With tape plugins as well, some people like to use them because they smooth off the high end, so you can even do a bit of a high cut high end on it if you want. And be careful, obviously you don't affect some instruments. You might want to use the tape delay on separate sub buses first, so it doesn't affect the whole mix, but I like a tape delay on the whole mix. So experiment with it, but you can use this to emulate tape machines, which is kind of the criteria it wants you to do. So it's built into Logic. I'm not sure about Ableton, but you could process the master in Logic if you didn't want to do it in Ableton, and you could add this tape machine to it. So we can make it a bit grittier.
I don't need you. I don't need you. Time to stop running, and I'm afraid to take the fall. The die is cast and you are nothing. Now it's time for you to go.
Definitely makes the mix sound a bit wider as well, so it's affecting the stereo width. So I'm not going to do much to it, I'm just going to have it running through, which just sounds pretty cool. But play around with it. It's a cool plugin that isn't going to cost you anything. So there's that. I'm using my my slate. Let's just see the difference. See which one sounds better. So both off.
Goodbye. It couldn't last. The end is drawing near. Time to leave you in the past. Now walk along. Enjoy the ride. Now.
Subtle. The slate one I think is smoothing out that high end and giving a little weight to the bass. I mean, I'd expect the slate one to sound better because it's a bought plugin, but this one's still doing nice things to mix. Subtle, but it's cool. Yeah, there we go. So you can have your tape delay plugin there. So another thing I want to show you is checking your mix for mono. So this is really important. So for me, usually the way I do this is my mixing software allows me to turn the mix to mono. But if you don't have that, or you're just working without an interface, you can actually do it really easily. If you add, I'll just do this from scratch. If you add, it would either be before your limiter. But my limiter's off at the moment, but it doesn't matter. Let's pop it here. So if you go down to utility and go to gain stereo, let's move this in here before the limiter. And it's really easy. Once you've clicked it on, you can make your mix mono. So we can just check that mainly we're not losing things from the stereo mix. So when I checked this in mono, I realized that the reverb on the violin, because I panned it so far left and right, was really getting lost on the mono mix. So I brought it in just a little, so it retained some when it went to mono. Now, it's only going to be listened to mono probably phones or a little Bluetooth speaker or something like that. But people do listen in mono, so it is important to check it. Now, this is still sounding pretty good in mono, especially after I fixed those elements. But let's just see what it does.
The end is drawing near, time to leave you in the past. Now walk alone.
So that's not bad. A few things, it's, obviously feels a little less wide than it would do because it's just running mono. But I've not really lost any elements, which is good. You can still hear the violin in there.
Enjoy the ride. Now the battle's won. Time to step in.
It's just when you make it stereo, you really hear that width in the reverb. But I mean, that's to be expected because you're running left and right. But yeah, anyway, that's an easy way. So you could just leave mono on and then just bypass the plugin whenever you want to check mono. But yeah, easy way to check. I also know my mix is pretty good because I checked it.
Into the light. Tell me why it's
in my multimeter in the last one, so wasn't expecting anything crazy. But you use your ears, don't just trust the meter. So do actually put your mix in mono and check it's all right. And when you're doing your videos explaining how you did your mix, you can talk about that and actually demonstrate it, which is important just to show that you've thought of those things. Okay, so yeah, that's tape delay and checking for mono. All right, so we're going to look at pitch correction here. So I've got a little section here, a little backing vocal. We did these vocals quite quick. So I think Tim wants to actually redo them at some point, or certain parts of them. We were a bit rushed, so we didn't really have time to warm up properly. But generally it's good. It's just a few little things. And, obviously it's a personal thing. So on this backing vocal, there's a few little notes that need fixing. So we're going to use flex pitch. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. As we've done it with flex time, you can just hit it here or press Command F and it will do it globally. If we just want to do it on a track per track basis, we double click on this track, go to track here, and then hit the flex button. Yes, I want to turn on flex. And then we're going to select flex pitch as the algorithm. And now it's analyzed these bits of vocal. So it's split them up into different things. By the way, if you want to, you can chop them individually as well. So for example, this one's fine because it's pretty consistent. On this one, the pitch changes quite a lot, so I might make a cut here, just so you've got a bit more control over it. You can obviously zoom in here to be closer to them. Now, there's a couple of different things you can do here. You can grab the note and you can move it, or you can list. So where it says fine pitch here, ideally you'd want it around 0, so it's saying it's a bit sharp, but if you bring it down to 0, that's probably too much. If it moves everything to 0, it's kind of like with the timing, just making it perfect. There should be a little bit of move, so I might move that fine pitch to about 10, so it's not bang on, but it's still got some character in it. And you can do that, or you can actually set the key. So I know that this one is a harmonic minor, and you could select all your notes, and if you right click on them it says set to perfect pitch, but that will just move everything in and it's going to sound weird. So I would kind of do the notes individually if you want to. So if I set the perfect pitch, it's just going to shift it all, which is fine. Let's have a listen to this, see what it did. So if I go back to original pitch, this is as it is.
Now it's time for you to go.
set to perfect pitch.
Now it's time for you to go.
So we'll go back to original and we'll do it. We'll check each section bit by bit. It's probably, but it's not good to just rely on thinking it's fixed. We'll just listen to each bit as we go. So
Now it's time for you to go.
So this one, let's pitch. Whoops, everything's selected. We'll just do it one by one. Let's bring this down to about 10. See what that sounds like.
Now it's time for you to go. Now it's time for you to go. For you to go.
Wobbles a bit there, so let's chop that around here. So, for instance, it's flat 14, flat 26. Before I did that, flat 17. So it's, by chopping it, means this one's less out than it was. So let's chop around here again. So let's move that up a bit. Let's move this up a lot. I just want to bring up that bit. It's a bit low. That's better. Okay, I'm going to chop this. It's just fading out there because I automated it. You can also affect the amount of vibrato, take it down. I'm not concerned with that. I just want to play around a little bit with the notes. Let's adjust them all here. Yeah.
Now it's time for you to go.
That's okay for me. Just a little bit of fine adjusting, and we've just brought a few of those notes in. So yeah, chop them up to make them a little bit easier. This one's kind of fairly well behaved, so it's all right. You can also do funky stuff like play around pitch drift and performance shift, and you can get cool special effects with the vocal processing, which is a whole other thing, which I don't really tend to do, but you can look into that if you want. So this is okay now. So let's sit that in the mix with the main vocal and see how they sit.
Now it's time for you to go.
Yeah, that's cool. It's better. It sits in there better now. Obviously, I could go through the rest of the one. I don't really want to touch the main vocal. There are a few things you could probably push up a little bit, but I think Tim wants to redo it anyway. But it's good anyway. There's not really any issues with the main one. The odd little thing here and there, but that's sort of a creative call on whether these things should be done or not. Like I said, I've told you before, I don't really like using pitch correction. And like I said, I think Tim knows there's a few notes he wants to do better, so he's going to re-sing them, which obviously is the right approach anyway. But if you don't have that option, then obviously flexpitch is useful. There are other ones as well. Waves Tune is good. Melodyne. There's others. Antara's Auto Tune. I'm not sure what Ableton has. But yeah, I just need evidence of you doing a little bit. Something like that, a small section would be fine. It doesn't have to be vocals. You can do it on whatever you want. Strings, synths. Guitars are more difficult because they're polyphonic. So individual notes are a bit easier. But yeah, that's FlexPitch.